Sound.
You're listening to Mad Sound Radio. And now, here's your host, Charlie John.
Hey everyone, welcome to Mad Sound Radio, the show where we talk with musicians about what goes into their craft, the stories behind the songs, and much, much more. I'm your host, musician and music nerd, Charlie John. Today's guest is Bleu or Bleu Collective. They're from Olympia, Washington, and they're a collective of musicians, songwriters, poets, producers, and artists who are making waves in the music industry today. This was an older conversation we had a few years back. These are a couple of great dudes, Zach and Nick, who I talked to a while ago. Please follow them anywhere you find music. You will not be disappointed. This is your episode number 6 of Mad Sound Radio with Zach and Nick from Bleu Collective.
Get caught in my feeling. Get caught in a dreaming. Daydreaming.
The first time I met these people really is Nick Hollander and Zach Medlin of Bleu. Is it Bleu or Bleu Collective? First question.
That's a loaded question. I don't feel comfortable.
The artist will just go by Bleu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Because
Bleu Collective is the larger picture.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that you guys you bring in other musicians and have them work on your stuff with you, and I thought that was really cool.
For sure.
But yeah, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I found you guys on TikTok. I'm sure I'm not the first one to say that, but
man, that's so cool to hear.
Right?
I know,
What a world.
I feel like we found you on TikTok too, though.
Maybe.
Where are you based in?
Right now I'm in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. So it's kind of weird.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
We're talking to you, and you're in Kentucky right now.
I know. And you guys are in Tampa Bay, right?
Yes, we are.
Nice. There's a cat behind me.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, so I got loads of questions here. This is episode 7 of On the Record. Thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate it. It takes a lot to come on and do a show with a stranger. And I was listening to your music, and I'm very interested in what you guys have out. You guys have a couple songs out now, right?
Yeah,
It's just 2 at the moment, but we'll get into a little bit of that later. But how did you guys come up with the idea? The idea to bring in other writers and producers is really cool. That's a really awesome idea. How did you guys come up with the name Bleu?
Well, Bleu, that's actually
it's a long story.
Yeah, give a little back.
So it's kind of both why we want to do a collective and also why the name is Bleu. We grew up in Olympia, Washington, so like literally a diagonal line across the country from where we are right now. And we have like a group of friends. I was in a high school band, and one of our friends, Aiden, who's actually featured on our second single, lives at this house that we all called the Blue House. It was kind of like, I feel like every friend group had like a hangout spot.
Yeah,
that one of the friends' houses
was chill. You can always go to. Yeah.
So we affectionately called it the Blue House, and then that was kind of like the spot during high school. And we would literally play shows. We were in like a pop punk band, and we'd play shows in Olympia, and then like literally almost every single person that was at our show would come over to the house afterward.
Oh, cool.
And we just hang out. And it was honestly super wholesome. I feel like most of the time house parties are like, you think of like drugs and alcohol going on. And we were just like, literally
very
at one point,
encouraging.
They were swing dancing in they moved the furniture out of the living room. They were swing dancing. And that's so funny. It was kind of like, that was how it was when we were growing up. And then as we kind of, got into our 20s, we ended up, Aiden's family moved out of the area and wanted to rent the house out. And Aiden was like, well, I want to stay here. Mm-hmm. What if like me and a couple of the guys rented it? And so Aiden, myself, Nick, and then our good friend Elijah Wheeler, who actually also is a musician,
and my wife at the time,
and his wife. Yeah.
Currently, she is my wife.
Okay, gotcha.
And my wife also moved in there with me.
Cool.
Yeah, so we were all sharing this 4-bedroom, and we're all musicians and artists, and So we kind of were like, there was always music going on.
Always something, always people over.
And it just kind of inspired us to be like, this is like, we're really glad that we've had this, the environment of like the Bleu house. And we kind of wanted to take that into like the spirit of that into Nick and I moved across the country, but we still are super connected with them, and kind of building partnerships out here, but also still like, I'm sure we'll end up back in the Pacific Northwest at some point, and with working with all of those people. Actually, I mentioned Elijah Wheeler. Eli Jonathan is his like stage name.
Sick stuff, like legit.
If anyone's listening that's looking for music like ours, he has, I think, 3 or 4 EPs out and several singles, and it's his stuff is fantastic. So I highly recommend checking him out. But that's kind of like what inspired us to do Bleu, and
we just want
to in the future like build kind of a collective out of it. Eventually Aiden will put out more of his own stuff, and we want to partner with him on that, and we each individually have our own like solo projects that we're working on that we also want to. So we kind of like, we're like, Bleu is like the center of it, and then we want to build like stuff around it,
Bleu House was almost like we like to think of it as like a sitcom. Where there's different seasons of Bleu House sitcom, and then Bleu was our kind of take on the whole premise of collaboration, and Blue Dot Collective is the bigger piece of we just collaboration, organic collaboration, and just I feel like your best stuff comes when you are with people that you love and enjoy and have fun with, and that's what makes really good music. Not that you can't make good music by yourself, but it's just more fun.
It's something I think a lot of people try to do that. I mean, I'm working now on trying to collaborate, because I've been writing and doing all this stuff for 12 plus years. I mean, I learned how to do this from my dad. You know what I mean? Like, he's an audio engineer and producer and songwriter and all that stuff. And but I'm very much in the pop singer songwriter world. And this kind of gets to one of my questions. And there's a structure to that when I'm sitting down to write something. You guys are very much crossover, and there's a lot of different genres in there. And you mentioned like pop punk early on. Like, did you guys start with different genres and just kind of blend them all together? Or are these just kind of like it's just what you love?
Well, I was never in the pop punk scene. For clarity, that was more so Zach and their band, The Straws, which was sick. I would occasionally hop up and do covers with them because we're all friends at the time, but I wasn't like a part of the band. This is definitely it's a piece of what all of us love. It's like a fusion, and we try to say it's easy to like plan out, all right, we're going to be within this genre, we're going to do it like this. And we decided to take the straps off, take the bearings off, and just go, what do we love? And that's also why we're able to do our own solo stuff that we're working on, because we're going to touch a little bit of everything almost.
I'm sure it's like, I love it creatively because like I like being able to just sit down and be like, what if we did this? I'm sure like as far as if we were to have like, we do have someone that does management for us, but if we were to have someone that does like marketing for us, they'd be like, you guys are doing it the absolute worst way. But
that's who we are.
We kind of like it. Like, I guess like Nick and I took the big risk of like moving across the country, and we we exclusively did music for the first couple months we were here, and now we're still we play at like on the beach out here and different restaurants and stuff, and a couple of private events, but we also have jobs, and our wives have jobs obviously, and it takes the pressure of we have to by this time be making this amount of money or whatever, and I used to work for a church before we moved and started Bleu, and that's definitely one of those things that's within like I did an album with the church, and it was like it has to be within these bounds, and I think Nick and we have like eclectic tastes, as well as the people we make music with, so it's nice to be like what do we want to do today, and
Which I'm reminded how a lot of this started after we had figured out the name. Zach and I would every single day we would send each other a song or two that would like inspire us that day.
Yeah.
And we made a playlist out of that, and I feel like that kind of organically built the different styles and stuff, because we've got a whole like notebook of songs that we're working on that haven't been released yet that are all they're starting to find its own thing, but it's almost a genre in and of its own.
Yeah, I think right now obviously we have like two points that are very different. One is very laid back, like
lo-fi,
kind of
chill
almost
hop.
Lo-fi, chill hoppy,
It's
and
very
then
cool.
one is like Lawrence, like high energy horns, you rapping, our other friend rapping, and that was like a lot of fun to make. And then we have other ones that are similar to that but also different, and then we have other songs that are more kind of in like the R&B, like the one we
I really just want to stop because you mentioned one of my favorite bands. You said Lawrence. God damn it, man! I've been on those guys for I think a couple of years now, and holy shit, I love them so much. They're amazing.
So they're like
so inspiring
too.
Yeah, they're popping off right now too.
Yeah.
They're in like a Microsoft commercial, and
they're on one of their big songs is in Microsoft. They're on John Bellion's record label.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
The last, I think, couple singles, and then this last album they did, they were working with John Bellion. So I think that's really what started a lot of it. But
Homegirl's voice, bro, the range that she has. I'm like, my goodness.
I really love that, like, what's it called? Like soul pop. Like kind of genre of music right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure
you guys are in there, man.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do more endeavors into that. Because we've started to meet some really great musicians out here. And so, I'm excited to kind of explore that as well.
How often are you guys playing out nowadays? Like going out and...
We do a show or two a week now.
Cool.
About. Well, we're just picking up again because Nick just had a baby.
Yes. I just had a baby girl. Yeah. So
congratulations, man.
Thank you. I tried to take January off, but I didn't.
It took really like maybe 3 weeks.
It took maybe 3 weeks, and then I haven't had time to like record a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it's been much more live shows and like future planning than recording and writing lately. But we're playing live shows a lot, and we're doing it's mainly cover stuff. And we're doing like 4-hour sets.
I mean, hey man,
so like
I do them too.
It
people
pays,
pay for that. People pay for that stuff.
I mean, especially in Florida, like, and we grew up, like I said, we grew up in Washington State, and there's not really, I mean, like maybe in Seattle, like the bigger cities, there's a little bit of a scene for it, but we didn't really know anything about that whole scene until we got out here. And it's like you walk down the street in like Tampa or Clearwater Beach or St. Pete, and there's live music like every couple
different band at each spot. And different styles at each spot.
I mean, that's where I'm at too. I play once or twice a week, but it's mostly weddings now, honestly.
That's kind of what we're trying to get into.
Weddings and private
events and all that stuff. And people love that stuff, man.
I feel like there is an unknown world, and I think like especially when you're in like the artist community, like people like to not acknowledge that side of the music. But it like, and every time I tell people we do it, there's like always mixed responses of like some people are like, yeah, but you're not playing your own stuff or something along those lines. And it's like, dude, I love all the songs we play. Like we play Al Green, we play Marvin Gaye.
I'm picking music I want to play. You know what I mean?
And most people don't really play their own stuff.
And so I have no qualms about it. I'm just as excited about like the live stuff, the wedding stuff, as I am about our original stuff. So.
Well, you could sneak in some of your original stuff too. I mean, there's no rules against that. Like,
true.
Yeah, we do that. We got to start releasing songs that are a little bit easier to perform live.
I mean, so it's just you guys. Do you guys have like other parts of your band, or is it just you guys?
Out here we play, usually we either do a duo, or so a duo with me playing acoustic guitar, and then I use an Ableton Push to do looping.
Yeah,
cool. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. And sometimes we use we haven't used tracks with the duo, but we do like drum loops or whatever sometimes. And then, I'll record the acoustic guitar, and then instead of I'll usually record a bass line, and then I literally just go in Ableton and I pitch it down 12 steps and have a bass amp on it. It sounds really good.
When it kicks in, people don't expect it. You see an acoustic guitar.
No, people don't there's this artist that I love, and he does everything by himself. His name is Jack Garrett. You guys should check him out. He's a one-man band. He does all that stuff. He does live looping. He's a phenomenal guitar player. But he won the Brits, I think, a couple years ago.
Okay.
But also I was going to ask if do you guys know Alan Stone? He's from Washington.
Yeah, of course.
You guys know him? God. Seen him live a couple times, and
have you? Fantastic.
You know what shocked me when I heard him before I saw him.
Me too.
You hear him, you're like, man, this guy, and he's got red hair, it's curly, it's down there, and you're like, I did not expect that.
It's funny because he looks like another singer. I don't know if you know anything about the worship music world, but he looks like a singer in the worship music world that I don't like him.
That's funny.
Just a very right-wing political dude, and so every time I think of Alan Stone, and I also think of that guy. It's a very weird connection.
No, my parents literally turned me on to him because they're like, this guy sounds like Stevie. He literally he sounds like Stevie Wonder. But I met him. Me and my now wife went to Nashville. He did a surprise show in Nashville, and then we talked to him after the show and took pictures and hugged him. And he's the nicest guy in the world.
I will give you blue.
Yeah. There you
go. We do a duo. We've lately been playing a lot of shows with a drummer, so we'll do a trio, and I'll just play electric, and I have a boss I forgot the name of the pedal, but it's basically an octaver, it adds an octave below when I'm playing. And Nick just sings, and then he'll hop on tambourine or shaker or bongos, and we just
go in on those bongos,
jamming the three of us. Yeah.
So you guys both. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh yeah, I was just saying. Then we also do we just played a private event where we did that trio, and then we added a sax player, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh wow. Cool. Yeah. So you guys mix and match, and you can call people if you want.
We do on the need. We've got another keyboardist that we'll play with sometimes as well. Yeah. We'll do a 4-piece. We're hoping to work with a female vocalist in the near future to do
some
more private type stuff.
So we're slowly 6-piece.
As we meet people, we build out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So do you guys both do singing and producing and all that stuff, or who does more of what?
Yeah, definitely. I would say Nick is more of the singer, and then I'm more of the producer. But when we first moved out here, we actually lived in the same house, and it was a 3-bedroom, so we had one of the bedrooms set aside as a studio.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And
we would take turns late at night. I'd be in there. It'd be 2 a.m, and he'd come creeping. He's like, "Oh, I was gonna produce for a second." I was like, "Yeah, I'll be done in 20 minutes."
So we have a lot of demos. Actually, a lot of the demos we're working out right now are stuff we started there.
Yeah.
And I feel right now you haven't done a lot of production lately, just because you have a kid or whatever.
Got a baby, and I need to buy some equipment for an at-home setup. I don't have an at-home setup at the moment, man.
But we've done a lot of stuff, both of us producing, and then one of our singles that we're working on right now also has both of us kind of lead singing. Yeah, it's actually a little bit more me.
Yeah, you take it a little bit. Yeah, it changes the feel of the song too. And then we both take turns writing.
Yeah,
okay. We both write. Sometimes Zach will have a concept, and I'll take it, flip it, and do my take on it, and then do it, and then vice versa. And there's been one time we were recording stuff. And Zach was like, I'm gonna go write a song right now. And he disappeared for 20 minutes, wrote a song on acoustic, and then we recorded a demo with me singing it. So
I forgot about
it just kind of depends on the feel. We don't have any singular way that we write these songs at the moment.
Yeah. So you guys have 2 songs on Spotify. Go follow them on Spotify. Blue Dot. Are you thinking about, because the current release structure of music is very quick, very fast. Is that something that is in your heads when you're writing and producing and all that stuff? Because people just want more of it all the time.
Do you want to answer it? Or?
Yeah. Well, that kind of was the whole premise we had going into releasing. Is we had written and almost fully produced about 5 songs with the game plan of releasing 1 song every month and a half, roughly. And we structured out to be, we thought about this. We were gonna release a song, and then the next week release some sort of visual element, whether it's a music video or a lyric video or something. And then the next week release a podcast episode, because we also have a podcast called Feeling Blue Podcast. Release a podcast episode talking about the process, the song, the writing.
That's so cool.
Then the 4th week, we would do some sort of promotional or merchandise or something like that. And then give it a few weeks and then release something else. That's kind of been the premise. Of course, not everything goes to plan. Because one song we were planning on releasing next. And then we were getting close, and we were like, it's not quite there yet. So we backtracked to a song that we hadn't touched in a long time, finished it, and decided let's release that one. And so we've got probably another 4 or 5 songs ready in the barrel. That we just have to get. We have to finish and then get mixed and mastered.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think at first we were like wanting to do that plan, and I think we found that like the music video we just did for a trip, we like kind of took our time to find like the artist who did it, and like he's a busy guy and we didn't want to rush him. And then like same with the album art for that, where like we had this idea, and it's like we could rush to like get that taken care of within the time frame. But like we just were kind of like I think it was killing me for sure to like be so structured with it. And I felt like it took a lot of the like actual feeling of creativity out of it.
It does. I mean, you can plan that, and then it just, well, I feel like I've done that too. I'm like, all right, every 4 to 6 weeks, and then it just never happens because I'm not going to rush something out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I think sometimes, like, especially if you're on TikTok all the time. And if you're
posting once a day or twice a day, that's hard.
And if you're like, this is the strategy that I should use. You just get in your head and you're like, I'm going to treat myself like a mini record label. And that's just not like what you are. Like people that have lives, and I think for me, I'm more of like a workaholic, I would say, like by default. But I think like my wife was like, you need to slow down, and like Nick was like, you should probably not focus, like hyper focus so much.
Hey, I need you to leave me alone,
because you gotta do everything. Like you gotta do everything yourself.
Especially being independent. Like you have to cover all your bases. And the industry is built like a machine, but we're not a machine. So like there's gonna be this slow down process, and I think we've had to learn we're in this for the long run. Like it's not all going to happen in a year as much as we want it to. It's going to happen over the next few years.
That's how labels, I mean, they used to treat artists. It's like you're your own developing A&R guy.
Exactly.
But now they won't even look at you unless you have a certain amount of numbers. Have you guys ever talked with like smaller labels and stuff like that, or like mid-size labels maybe?
I think we've like explored that a little bit. We've always like kind of wanted to, I think we're both like, we kind of want this to be like ours because we know not directly, but I know I'm really good friends with, we're both really good friends with this guy that used to play bass in a band called Oli. He's from our hometown of Olympia, and they toured for King's Kaleidoscope. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like in the Christian alternative music world, but they are like you've probably never heard of them. A lot of people haven't, but if you're like within a certain like niche, they're super popular in that niche. And they like the main guy that does all of it, his name is Chad Gardner. He owns all their stuff, and I just like through knowing all the people around him, I got an insight to what it's actually financially like to be a mid-level artist, but you instead of the label owning everything or doing all the promotion, like you built your own, and you know he makes 6 figures plus. He makes enough from a tour to, and
not have to work.
He puts his money into the job. Yeah, he puts his money into the tour to invest, but then he makes enough to pay his mortgage for a year. So it's like, that's kind of our, you know, however long it takes to get there. But that's kind of like, if we do this, we're like, we want to try and have it be independent. There's a lot of like labels right now that are aware that most artists kind of like us are just like have accepted that we're going to do it all ourselves. And some labels are like, okay, we know that like most artists know that a record label doesn't really do anything anymore besides promotion. And so if we were to like be approached and do like a deal with an artist to do essentially all of the like A&R and promotion, like we would totally consider that. But I think anything else, we're like, we kind of want to keep.
That's the only way I think I would consider it is if, and people have done it, but it's very rare. I think like Chance the Rapper did it, and the white rapper guy, what's his name? He like Macklemore.
He did. He's from Seattle. He's from our stomping grounds.
But like distribution only deals are like so hard to come by. You gotta have you gotta have like millions of fans and all that stuff, and just everything to show them. But so I want to jump over a little bit more to your guys's production and stuff like that. Do you try to incorporate a lot of the live band stuff, or is it in the box kind of sounds when you're producing or writing, or is it just whatever you can get?
I feel like we do a process typically where we'll like either it's on an acoustic, which is OG how a lot of our songs are written, or we'll create a beat and kind of work from there in a studio, and then we come to one of our friends has a beautiful home studio that is not a home studio by any means.
He has like a SSL, like a 64 channel SSL.
Oh Jesus!
Board and
we're in the drum room right now.
Time.
That's also his office.
Legit. You know what? You guys are legit. You got drums.
Yeah, we got drums. You know what I'm saying?
You got drums. Yeah.
That's all it takes. And then we'll go from concept and demo where we'll do a crap ton of vocal layers and build a choir, this and that, and then we'll bring it to the studio here and start to work out each piece so we can get the live music element. Because I don't know, the guy we work with, his name is Pablo Homie. He does a lot of like music engineering, and he loves organic sounds. He loves what
analog gear.
He loves analog gear.
He bought the same. I don't know if you or anyone listening will like know what I'm talking about. He bought the same Pultec EQs, like the physical Pultec EQs that were used by this engineer that I think mastered Continuum by John Mayer and The Scientist by Coldplay. Like the same, not the same like model, like literally the same machine.
Literally the same one.
That's
from
hilarious.
The guy's studio. So like when you listen to Continuum, it probably went through the exact same EQ. So he's like a super big analog gear, and he really likes
the imperfect touch. I played piano for something. He goes, "Man, Nick got that imperfect touch," and I was like, "I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I'll take it, I guess."
That's so funny.
Yeah, so I feel like we just kind of I feel like we've been what's the saying, like flying by the seat of our whatever. Like
I call it one step at a time.
It's really been whatever works.
Trying to whatever tamp down the anxiety and just do it one step at a time.
Exactly.
That's kind of the way that we do it now. Just do it today, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do something else.
Just do like one of these small pieces.
It's kind of go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like so like Stuck in Between, for example, was all in the box as far as like drums and kind of like I recorded the guitars in a very basic way, except for the solo at the end, which we actually recorded here in the studio.
Yeah,
and it has more of that like live kind of feel.
Are you in Ableton?
Yeah, I produce. Yeah, we both produce basically exclusively in Ableton. I try to use Logic because I know some people that swear by Logic, but I just can't.
Well, I guess it's just what you learned on, right? Like I learned on Pro Tools and I switched to Logic because I feel like Apple has it figured out with as far as just quickness and easiness, but I never was able to switch over to Ableton because I feel like it's a genre specific thing. I feel like a lot of hip hop, like it makes it like the workflow is easier, but it just doesn't stick in my brain. I don't know, but you probably learned on Ableton, so it's what you know.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely learned on Ableton. I like that's almost exclusively what I did when I worked for church. Is I worked in Ableton. Right. Doing like tracks, and at one point I had a master file of every single song we did at this church. It was literally like 50 to like 80 songs at a time. Yeah. And it was just like this giant master file. And then I would edit it like per weekend. I would edit like, okay, add a chorus here, take a chorus out here. And I was kind of learning on the fly, honestly. Like most
you
of
got
that.
good at it. There's no one else to do it.
So I think like that just like most people don't, when they use Ableton, they don't see it kind of like as easily, like as far as Logic, when you see like, you know, chorus, verse, whatever. But I think because I learned that way.
Yeah. And you can record anything like in Ableton, right? Like for me, the big thing was, it was all about MIDI.
Yeah.
Was able to, and I feel like that's a huge selling point for MIDI or for Ableton, obviously, but you can like record anything you want just the same way you can do it in Logic, right? I mean,
you can record audio.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, same exact.
Shout out to
I just learned by watching. It's what he used. It's what a lot of our other friends use, and I just watched all the time, and that's how I.
Yeah,
that's why I picked up Ableton. I was like, all right, whatever else is using that, I know.
Plus, they got they do have some pretty awesome live gear, as we were talking about before. The push.
Yeah, I think the push is really rad. It's fun. It's super fun to use for like the session view in Ableton.
Yeah, totally.
That's like its own world. Like that's like the Ableton and using it, producing how we use it is one thing, and then like the live aspect.
And then you have to or I guess it's all in the session, right? And this might be a little down a weird wormhole, but like trying to do it live, do you take the same session from the song and just use it on the push, or do you have to like export different stems to it?
Usually I export stems because like I have, when we play live, we have like a headphone preamp and we use clicks.
Yeah. Okay.
So because instead of using like a looper or something, I really like to have some, like my recording to a click.
Yeah.
And then that's how I like record my guitar and then bass. And then like if I am a little off time, I can literally quantize it on the fly using the push, which is really cool.
Love it. That's really cool.
It is nice because sometimes it stresses you out. You're like, ooh.
Although
it works.
We've recently gotten to the endeavor of like, I'll use the push as a drum machine live too, which is fun. But a couple times I have been a little like late on the snare and I quantize it or early on the snare and the snare is early.
Oh, it goes backwards.
Like a quarter note early or late. And it's so
God damn you computers.
Awful live. So I'm trying to get better at that.
And we're doing like buy you a drink and stuff like that. And it's like, like, oh, we're almost there.
I mean, speaking of like quantization and stuff like that, it's when, and this is a very nerdy thing that we're talking about here, but it's you know, like the program you're working with will automatically put the beat on the 1, you know, or the snare on the, you know, 2 or 3 or whatever. But was it Trip, I think, let me go look at the thing. It might be stuck in between, but on one of them, it feels like the quantization was on purpose. It was off on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get that feeling, you know what I mean? Where you can just like slide it over.
I think both of them, make it sound probably live. More stuck in between.
Yeah.
Like, as I think, like, from a producer aspect, I really wanted to go for, I remember thinking, like, when I made the original drum beat, I was like, I want this to sound like Erykah Badu.
That's cool.
And so I was like thinking with like the lens of that whole era of hip hop, like the Questlove.
Like he was reading the Questlove book at the time. Too.
I still am. I haven't finished it.
Side note: Questlove just played Madison Square Garden with John Mayer. Anyway, I'm using that as a segue into. I just want to shout out. You guys mentioned Plankton and Mr. Krabs. In between.
Hell yeah.
And like, hell yeah, man. Like, that's the shit I grew up on. Like,
the whole premise is,
that's amazing.
I'm not a rapper by trade.
Okay.
Straight up. I've always been a singer, vocalist. I'm trying to do more R&B. But when we kind of started this, we kind of jokingly, I started rapping and it just stuck. And so I decided I don't want to take myself too seriously. So whenever I'm rapping, I have to say something outlandish. I have to say something that's going to be so specific or so weird that no one's going to think that I'm being serious, or they'll take me seriously and understand the reference. So totally. It's a weird, I don't know why I do it.
It works, man.
Psychoanalyzing people.
The rapping works.
That line, I feel like Plankton who's going insane. Obsessed with Krabs' formula, you know what I'm saying. Except the formula only is what's up in my brain. I think you came up with the concept. Zach said, what if you said something about Plankton? And I was like, dare, bet, I will. And it took a few tries, and I had to rewrite it a number of times.
We literally recorded like a whole second half of that verse that was similar, but didn't quite have it.
Yeah.
And then when we got it, it stuck. And it's also one of those things where it's like, if you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that to me is huge.
Oh yeah. There was another line. It might have been in that in between too, where Nick, you said, "I feel like the whitest black kid." Or something like that. Yeah. Like, where did you grow up and where did that line come from, I guess?
Ah, man. We're getting into
it. I know we're getting into it, but still, it's interesting.
We're from Olympia, Washington, which is about an hour south of Seattle. And it's a lot more diverse now because so many military live there. But growing up, there was not a whole lot of black people.
Sure.
So I grew up around a lot of white people. I didn't look like most people around me. And then when I met people that did look like me, we didn't have the same personality type. So I constantly growing up got told, oh wow, you're the whitest black guy I've ever met, or wow, from both sides. I heard it from white people, I heard it from black people, which when you think about it as a kid, that's some, you know, I got to process that. I got to work through that, because that's not a great thing to hear. But I heard it so often, so normal, and so that's where that premise of that second half of Stuck is. It's me actually like cracking the shell and opening up about my actual life experiences and what it was like growing up. And that whole I grew up in white places. I grew up in white places with white faces, picket fences, and white babies. Yes. And you have the Northwest that kind of shaped me, arranged me. Wasn't bad, but left me hella confused. I mean, there were some who looked like me, but the number was few. And yeah, I'm kind of articulate, but it got me called the whitest black kid by both the white and black kids, and that's my crisis. Embrace or fight this, mentalitis, before I get the arthritis and tinnitus. I guess I'm just... And that's the whole...
My man did the whole verse.
Yeah, I did the whole verse, you know what I'm saying? I got locked in there. But it's that premise of I grew up never fitting into any world because I didn't look like the people around me, and the people that did look like me, we didn't act the same. And so that's just... I realize there are a lot more people of a brown composure that have a shared experience that I've never heard anyone talk about. But as I've talked to individuals who are mixed like myself, who are half white, half black, they had very similar experiences, especially if you are more articulate and more conversational in the way that I am. And so, it felt like something that needed to be said that was authentic to my experience.
It sticks out,
and
man.
So we went for it.
It's really good. And I didn't know you were mixed. Where are your parents from?
So I'm different than what you classically see. So my mom is black and my dad's white. Okay. So my dad is actually from Alabama, and my mom is from California. And I somehow ended up being born in Washington. Cool. And my dad's, I've got a complicated family situation. It is very complicated, but I love my family. Yeah, but, my dad is much older as well. So I've got an older white dad who he actually, and I write poetry as well.
Awesome.
It's a good expressive element for me, especially in the way the world has been lately, where everything is coming out to the surface. But my dad was actually, he was born in the segregated South. So my dad's born in 1952, Alabama. He's told me the story of he remembers black kids lived on one side of town across the train tracks and white kids lived on the other side. He remembers the first time he saw a black person. And he remembers when one day he was in high school, I think he was a sophomore or junior, and randomly 2 busloads of black kids showed up. And that was when they desegregated schools and all these black kids showed up and they had to segregate. So I've got to learn the history, the convoluted history that's just within one generation.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got a lot of stuff to draw from.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff to draw from and a lot of stuff to process through.
Yeah, still working on it.
Still working on it.
Yeah. Okay. We're wrapping up here, guys. What?
Man, that was so quick.
I know.
It's ridiculous. And again, we can have you back on. We can talk forever.
We'd love to.
Absolutely.
So, let's do plugs. First of all, I always want to say, go follow them on Spotify. It's one of the most important things you can do as for an independent artist is literally just follow them on Spotify. I think it's just Blue Dot, right? It's not Blue Dot Collective.
Blue Spotify, Dot. Blue Dot. If you look up like one of the titles of our singles, like Stuck in Between or Trip, and then Blue, BLEU dot, it's a lot easier to
Blue find. Like the cheese, or like Port on Blue, because we're classy like that.
Guys are classy. And Aiden Taylor's great too.
Oh my gosh.
Trip is featuring Aiden Taylor.
Aiden, my guy.
He has music coming out soon. So if you follow Blue, you'll hear more about Aiden as well. He's putting out original music.
He's genuinely one of the best songwriters that I know and personally have witnessed.
Definitely.
Because he can, just the way he articulates stuff is beautiful.
Yeah. Awesome. So you're and Blue the Collective on Instagram. Right.
And Blue Dot Collective. Yeah.
You guys still, are you doing the TikTok thing once, twice a day?
Not as much. We chilled out. We chilled out a little bit.
Yeah. It seems like a lot. I mean, it's so fun at the beginning. You know what I mean? You know, the ideas are just insane, but you know, it's a lot. It's really after a while because
we got a lot of great response. On TikTok, just like pursuing there. I'm sure we'll do more but we just try to take it like, if we have an idea, let's do it. And then, but we're trying to focus most of our creativity into the actual music as well.
And the marketing of the music.
Yeah,
definitely. And then what website you guys have?
If you want to check out our website, bleuthecollective.com.
Cool.
And we got I'm wearing our merch too.
There you go.
The merch.
And it's, I'll show you the back. Let me see if you can see the back.
We did it.
Oh, cool. Love it.
We did like a limited run a couple months ago, and I think we're gonna do another.
We're gonna do some more. It's got awesome quotes from like 5 of our upcoming songs.
2 of our out songs and 1 of our upcoming.
It's got quotes of our songs on the back. That some of them haven't been released yet, so it's almost like an egg.
Yeah, it's Easter egg. Go to Blue the Collective.
It's like one of those egg things
from Easter, you know.
Egg. It's like an egg.
Guys, thank you so much again. I'll be for the next 15 minutes. I'll be playing some of your music here on VW Radio, they'll probably be spinning your music from now on. So, thanks to them.
That's great.
But thanks again, guys. We'll have to do this again soon. And good luck with everything in the future, man.
Yeah, thank you. We'll have more music to come in the near future. So
absolutely,
we'll definitely have to do this again.
I would love to bounce some ideas off you guys and vice versa.
Absolutely.
Whatever you guys have in mind, I feel like we should stick together as indie artists.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
As indie artists, the collaborative process, everything. Yeah.
All right, Zach and Nick, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I spent my whole life in white places with white faces, picket fences and white babies. And yeah, the Northwest, it kinda shaped me. Arranged me, wasn't bad, but left me hella confused. I mean, there were some who looked like me, but the number was few. And yeah, I'm kinda articulate, but it got me called the whitest black kid by both the white and black kids. But that's my crisis, embrace it, fight this, mental ISIS, before I get the arthritis and tinnitus. I guess I'm just feeling. Get caught in my feelings. Get caught and I'm dreaming. Daydreaming.
Thanks for listening to Mad Sound Radio.